the perception or the gift of perception is merely but a trust fund going around. This type of work is not to be taken lightly, but again, the times call that the youth need to understand what is happening and what is going on, whether it be underground or on top of us, whether it be critical analyzation of what's going on with aliens, creators, creatresses. These things need to be brought to the surface, brought to light, brought to consciousness, and this is how it's done. Back to knowledge and transitioning with that knowledge, or transitioning with new knowledge. We can come together. Recycling, we will not come together again. We will just continue eating meats, continue dishonoring animals, continue dishonoring ourselves, the ones that we are supposed to honor, our loved ones, our children. What you invoke is what you invoke. What you get in return from that, or recycling what you don't get in return from that. Recycling what you don't get in return for invoking into the universe. If you think you're invoking positive messages or God codes into the universe, and you get something that you don't understand, or is something considered by your ego to be negative, these things are untouchable and unfathomable, yet even unbelievable, because you're only dealing with the naked eye. And everything that comes back to you is coming back to you for a reason. Some people need to go. Some people need a rites of passage. Some people need a rites of passage, or they're never going to leave this earth. Some people's rites of passage is going to be in a hospital bed. Again, we are God. We forgot that we are gods and goddesses having a human experience. Gods and goddesses being ones that can look into the future, look into the past, look into the present, and see what is going to happen in the future, what has happened, or changing things that has happened in the past. We forgot who we are, but we forgot that our powers are encapsulated into a human experience. We are not spiritual beings having a human experience. We are gods and goddesses having a human experience. The messages and the God codes come from the Spirit. In reality, there is one spirit. There is one spiritual experience, and we are all included in that. Or there is one spiritual being, and we are all in the essence of that in our human experience as gods and goddesses. What is more powerful, the human experience? Look at it this way. There's nothing more powerful or less powerful. Those people, those that want to say you are powerless, you got to get away from those people. Those who are saying you are powerful, you got to get away from those people. That is a church. That is a church and the conscious community, and they're playing tricks on you. Again, These aliens are due for an exposure. We are missing our brothers in the sun. We are missing our sisters or sea stars in the sun. Because these aliens have not been exposed for their true power. We are not governing our system. The system is governing us. And without help and without exposure, or exposing the aliens that have come back to redeem our souls and redeem our lifestyles and our way, we are nothing, and we are not one, and we are not together, and we are not recycling exposure. We need to come together. We need to enlighten the way our sun enlightens us. Again, the gash being knowledge. You can only go so far when there are so many temptations around you, when there's so much poison, when you are transferring so much poison into something. We need to forget about our children and think about our younger generation. Who is the younger generation for us? Who is the younger generation for you? The younger generation for me is my little brother. The younger generation for me is my little sister. I am the example for them. My mother, my father, my uncle, my grandmother, my grandfather, these people, my grandmother, my grandfather, these people are crying. Their souls are crying out, screaming out that I change. That's the way it works. That's how it works. We cannot reach any generation. We can only see, maybe the generations are 10 years apart. Maybe you being a god or a goddess can make those generations further. You make it what you want to make it. But the generations, the gap between age, the gap in age, just deciphers or defines who the younger generation and the older generation is, and these younger generations cannot go off a generation that is older than their older generation. So each generation has an opportunity to teach the younger generation. But you do not get the opportunity, you are not granted the opportunity to teach the generation that is below or younger than your younger generation. Just as you don't get an opportunity to learn from a generation that is older than your older generation. Because those are the souls that need it the least. Because they've come here and they've already wreaked havoc. They've done their job. But the bottom line is, you need to respect your mama. Amaru. You are Ama. One's message or God codes or light can only be as strong as the message or God codes that is coming from your younger generation, not the generation that is younger than your younger generation. But that is the generation that you need to focus on, the generation that is younger than you. Because you are the example. You are the example for them. So what you get from that is what you get from that.